And as we proceed, other participants can join in. Um, so I will share my screen and then we can begin. Can everybody see my screen? Can somebody just confirm?
Yes.
Yeah, you can
Yes.
see us.
All right. Okay, so let's get started. Very good afternoon to all of you who are attending today's session. On behalf of the Society for Innovation and Entrepreneurship and our collaborators today, the IIT Madras Incubator, the Kerala Startup Mission, and the Bombay College of Pharmacy, we extend a warm welcome to you for today's session. The aim of this session is for those of you who are in the biotech domain to bring to give you kind of an overview of the biotechnology ignition grant offered by BIRAC that is available to you for a grant fund of about 50 lakhs spread over 18 months. It is an excellent opportunity in a young entrepreneur's journey to get funding support like this. And so we would like today to discuss a bit more about this grant, how to write a successful grant, and so on. So today we have Dr. Priya from IITM Bioincubator. Thank you, Dr. Priya, for attending this session. She is the senior manager at this bioincubator, and we are so grateful to her for agreeing to be a part of the session at such short notice. Now, IITM Bioincubator requires no introduction. It is a well-renowned, it's one of the most well-renowned incubators in the country. It offers a lot of infrastructure and state-of-the-art research facility to bio-entrepreneurs. And apart from that, it also provides an excellent network of legal, accounting, and other professional services that their incubatees can access once they're incubated with the IIT Bioincubator. They've had a huge impact thus far. They have almost 21 startups. They've graduated 5 companies. They've created more than 120 jobs and generated more than 123 fresh IPs. Very recently, 2 of their incubatees have raised more than 2 crores of revenue, and total funds generated thus far has been 26 crores. They have several technologies and products already commercialized, and they cover a whole host of healthcare and other sectors, which entrepreneurs in this audience should definitely take advantage of. The facilities that they offer, the infrastructure, and the huge experience that they carry and can share with you. Thank you, Dr. Priya, for sharing this information with us today. Next, we'll come to the Bombay College of Pharmacy. Today, we are greatly privileged to have Professor Krishna Iyer, who's the principal of Bombay College of Pharmacy. If you would like at this point to unmute yourself and share a few words, because I understand because of your busy schedule, you might need to drop off. So I'm giving you this opportunity to speak a little bit about the Bombay College of Pharmacy.
Good evening, everyone. And it's a pleasure and honor to be part of this seminar or kind of a workshop that we have organized today. Bombay College of Pharmacy is one of the oldest colleges of pharmacy in India. And it was formed close to 64 years ago by the Indian Pharmaceutical Association with the assistance of a lot of corporates which were at that time in the business of healthcare. We at the moment offer degrees B.Pharm, M.Pharm as well as PhD. And last year we got autonomous status for a period of 10 years through the UGC. So we are now autonomous institute. We still talk to University of Mumbai with respect to the programs we run, but we get that freedom of actually running a lot of add-on courses because of our autonomous status. In fact, BCP is known for two things: the strength of its undergraduate teaching and the quality of research that is done. And almost all the faculty at Bombay College of Pharmacy are doctorates, and they very consistently write for grants from various sources: AICT, DST, UGC, CSR, and also solicit grants from the corporate sector. And as of today, probably BCP has collected more than 10 crores in terms of research grants. And we also do a lot of collaborations with pharmaceutical companies. And we must have finished close to 300 to 350 projects with the corporate sector. And this includes a fair level of technology transfer also. Our strength in terms of our research is in developing formulations, doing analytical method development, and also the drug discovery or computer-aided drug design. And we also have a department which is very good at herbal technology in terms of developing formulations which are herbal based and also cosmeceuticals which are herbal based. Okay. We also have a pharmacological department where there are a lot of assay methodologies for testing a lot of compounds for different types of activities with respect to the disease states that are being targeted. Very recently, we have received a huge grant to set up a national facility for research and training in integrated analytical strategies as part of our pharmaceutical analysis department. And we have state-of-the-art MS LCMS facilities for this purpose. Okay, our status in terms of the quality of programs that we run and also our interaction with respect to the industry is seen in the fact that we won the Best Industry-Linked Pharmacy Institute Award for 3 consecutive years. And later on, we were put in the mentor category. Our NIRF rankings are consistently in the top 25 with respect to the pharmacy program. Okay, and we have also received several awards. For example, the FICCI Award for the excellence in enabling research environment, which was a special jury mention. Okay. And in terms of research facilities, we are very well equipped to do a lot of cutting edge research in drug discovery, computer-aided drug design, formulation development, pharmacological testing, and analytical method development, and herbal technology. So this is what we bring to the plate being part of this group. And I thank you for your attention and a chance to tell you a little bit about Bombay College of Pharmacy.
Thank you, Professor
Thank
Krishna.
you very
I'm
much.
sure the fact that you pointed out that you all do a lot of the development and testing of drugs and formulations will be of interest to this crowd. And so we request you to please reach out to the Bombay College of Pharmacy and follow their activities online too, to figure out how they can help you in your entrepreneurial journey. Thank you, Professor Krishna. Again.
Yeah, I also sincerely request everyone to just go to our website and look at the profile of our faculty in terms of what they have been doing over the last few years to get a even much better feel for the research environment that is there at Bombay College of Pharmacy. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Professor Krishna. So you've heard him. Please visit their website and go over the faculty profiles to look at what areas of research interest the current faculty are indulged in. Next, we come to our other collaborator today, the Kerala Startup Ecosystem, or the Kerala Startup Mission, which basically is a vibrant ecosystem that supports more than 2,900 startups, 4 accelerators, and 40 incubators. They've raised a huge quantum of funds through VC and angel funding in innovation grants and have generated a huge amount of employment and supported more than 35,000 aspiring entrepreneurs. So if you're in Kerala, they are a good ecosystem to belong to and to take help from, and whose experience you can largely benefit from in your journey. With that, I come to today's session. Again, we thank all our collaborators for agreeing to join the session in such a short time and sharing our information with their network. Today, we are focusing on the first hurdle. Now, writing a winning big grant. If you, or as we have looked in the previous cycles of big, almost 25% the number of applicants to those that cross the first hurdle, which is going from online review to presentation in front of the technical panel, almost one-fourth of the applicants lose out at that first step of evaluation, which is online review. And since the written grant is the first thing that is available for a reviewer to gauge your innovation, we thought that it would be a good idea to draw attention on how to solidify and write a good grant so that right at the first stage, people can see the importance of your innovation. So today through this session, we are hoping to give you an overview of the Biotechnology Ignition Grant for those of you who are not familiar, its scope and its reach, because it's kind of your first step, first foot through the BIRAC door, and it gives you national visibility to you and your innovation. We will also give some key pointers towards writing the grant effectively from stemming from our experience in this field. We also will bring you two perspectives, one from that of a reviewer. Today we have our in-house mentor, Mr. Parthasarathi Ponguru, who has more than 40 years of experience in the health tech domain. And he has, as part of this big ecosystem, reviewed more than 100 applications. He's also our mentor in residence and has helped mentor many of our potential applicants through their evaluation process, right from grant writing to the technical expert panel. We also bring you another perspective, that of a successful big grantee. Today we have Sudarshan, who is an alumnus of IIT Madras, a social entrepreneur and an agri-tech innovator. He is a very recent big awardee. He got the big grant in the previous cycle, which is the 17th cycle. And he was also a recipient of the Tata Trust Entrepreneurs for Impact Fellowship. He has since founded the company Beyond Green Innovations Private Limited. So today Sudarshan can tell us how he prepared and how he managed to land this grant. So any questions that you might have from both perspectives, please direct it to our panelists today. We intend to keep this session very interactive and to resolve most of your queries regarding this grant. And so as we proceed, we'll try to, I'll quickly go over my slides so that we can get to the interactive part of our discussion. When you think of a big grant, there are two entities that you have to figure out right at the beginning. One is selecting the big partner. Now, there is a conglomerate of 8 big partners throughout the country, and depending upon your preference, you select a big partner. Now, this big partner will basically help you throughout the process of application, right from figuring out if your idea is suitable or good enough for big, to drafting your first proposal, to help you draft your first proposal, go over those drafts and refine them, and help you through every step of evaluation. They are also going to help you once you're a successful big grantee to complete the due diligence process. And since the release of funds is milestone based for this grant, they're going to monitor your progress throughout the 18 months and release funds as in basically 3 tranches. They're also going to provide you an access to their network, which will help you accomplish your goals for this project quicker and more effectively. The second entity that you have to identify when applying for this grant is an incubator. Now, BIRAC decrees that you should carry out your work in an incubator. Now, the incubator will not only provide you with a space to work, but it will also provide you access to its physical infrastructure as well as the network. So eventually, when you have your startup during the course of this grant and you are ready to go on to the next step, they can also help you raise follow-on funds and also handhold you in the initial stages of your startup. So these are the two entities that you should be familiar with if you are interested in this grant. Now, we are happy to tell you that SINE is both a big partner and an incubator. SINE is the technology business incubator associated with IIT Bombay. Since its inception in 2004, we have strived to enable entrepreneurs with deep tech solutions that are contributing to IP creation in with a social, economic, and strategic impact. Although initially we were set up to help our faculty and students in their entrepreneurial journeys, it is now open to all, and we have now supported more than 300 startups in a sector agnostic manner. And we've also facilitated government support to a host of our incubators. From start to scale, SINE as an incubator can provide you access to a rich network of its mentors, experts, IITB faculty and alumni within the IITB network. In addition to SINE's own infrastructural support, we can also make other state-of-the-art R&D facilities within the campus accessible to our incubatees. Besides that, we can make connects to our vast network of investors, legal, IP, and industrial contacts that kind of form the external ecosystem for us. Through our cross-border collaborators, we can also help bring exposure to international markets. So this marriage between the internal IITB ecosystem and the external ecosystem that we've developed over the years, we can share with you if you are a part of our, if you choose to seek us out as your incubator. SINE offers from start to scale and a support to an entrepreneur's journey through 3 basic stages. First is the pre-incubation. During this stage, we provide initial handholding, mentoring, exposure to seed funds, etc. Then incubation, which stretches for a period of 3 years, during which we help provide lab and manufacturing facilities for, say, prototype development, and finally to accelerate your products and technologies entry into the market. We hold frequent training and bootcamp sessions to bring young entrepreneurs up to speed with the current market scenario and set them up with the tools necessary for success. Now, when it comes to government programs, we are supported by BIRAC and the Department of Biotechnology, but also by the Department of Science and Technology and the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. So if you have innovations that are not in the biotech domain, you might want to check out some of our other programs and the facilitation of seed grants from Nidhi Prayas and Nidhi EIR schemes. Now, for more on these schemes, you can visit our website, or you can visit any incubator near you, and you can also write to us for more information about a scheme that is suitable for you. Let's look at the hierarchical arrangement of government schemes that were initiated by BIRAC to support you progressively through your journey as an innovator. These are segregated based on the stage your innovation currently is. So from ideation to POC, you have a set of funds, and BIG is one of the major granting schemes at the early stages. This could be followed by successive funds that support prototype development and manufacture for your startup, for your young startups such as SIBRI and BIB. Also for academics, the PACE scheme is of special assistance or significance. This scheme, which stands for Promoting Academic Research Conversion to an Enterprise, provides about 50 lakh of support, both with or without an industry partner. Let's now quickly go over the quantum of funds that these BIRAC schemes equip you with at every stage of your product development. First, there are some student fellowships called eUva or Sitare that can get you started, especially if you're a student, with a small quantum of funds up to about 15 lakhs to get your idea to the proof of concept stage. Now, we will, of course, be talking about BIG, which is the largest granting scheme in these early stages. Now, at the end of BIG, you will have launched your startup. And then as a startup in the biotech domain, you can then avail of the Small Business Innovation Research Initiative, or SIBRI, for prototype development and manufacturing. You will also be able to access the Biotechnology Industry Partnership Program, or BIP, where 50% of the total project cost will be matched by the government. This is to accelerate new and futuristic technologies. It supports validation, demonstration, and pre-commercialization of product and technologies. Now, at the accelerated stage of your innovation, when it is finally finding its way to the market, you can access other large grants that will help you both with scale up and commercialization. And SINE can help you through all of this if you choose to seek our help for this. Now, for additional information for these and other grants in the biotech domain, please visit the BIRAC website, talk to your incubator, and we are always there if you should you need additional support and knowledge. We will be happy to share our experience with you. Now, to look for the BIRAC grant that is suited to you, you should first try to properly gauge the technology readiness level of your innovation. For instance, for BIG, since it is an early stage grant, the TRL should not be higher than 3. Now, if you look here at the schematic, TRL 3 is where you're proving the feasibility of your research. So you're basically establishing the proof of concept. Anything beyond that goes into technology development and demonstration and goes out of the scope of big. So this is something to pay attention to. If your TRL level is higher than 3, I mean, look for the next suitable grant for you. Now, an inability to gauge the TRL level, TRL, might lead to disqualification, and you could reach out to your big partner or your incubators to sort this out. So right at the beginning, when you're thinking of this grant, reach out to your big partner and or your incubator and figure out which TRL level your innovation falls into. The Biotechnology Ignition Grant is a flagship scheme by the Department of Biotechnology. It aims to help young entrepreneurs develop a proof of concept for their innovation and then take it to market. The key aim here is commercialization. It is meant to support young or established academicians and young startups with 50 lakhs for the execution of their proof of concept in 18 months. It is critical to mention here that a minimum qualification of a completed undergraduate degree is required. The 18th call of this grant is currently under process, and the 19th call has just opened up on August 1st, and it will close on September 15th. Just drawing your attention to it. By any metric of evaluation, the big grant has been a very successful initiative by BIRAC. It has supported more than 125 startups and led to the launch of more than 50 products in the market. Now, if you're considering applying for this grant, please check out the list of broad categories supported by this grant. We have MedTech covering medical devices, diagnostics, drugs and drug delivery systems, and regenerative medicine, to name a few. We also have agriculture and allied themes covering secondary agriculture, animal husbandry, aquaponics, and so on. We also have industrial biotech and environmental sciences covering waste management, sanitation, and clean energy solutions. If you're developing a software solution, but that has a biotechnological application, you can also apply. Now, your big partner can help you find the correct scheme fit for you if you're unsure about it. Say you've applied and you've selected the wrong scheme by any chance, it can also be corrected at the later stage. Now, for this grant, you can apply in two categories. One is an individual or a company. In both cases, you need a proof of nationality, and this is mostly through a passport. So if you do not have a passport or it has expired and you're thinking about applying for this grant, I advise you to kindly put in an application and provide us proof of the same. Okay. Now, depending upon whether you're applying as an individual or as a company, the criteria for you are slightly different. As an individual, for instance, your educational qualification, like I mentioned earlier, should fall into the scope of big. You should not be a stakeholder in other companies, especially those that are ineligible in the biotech domain. And I'll talk about ineligibility of companies in a second. You should have more than one team member. So a single team applicant is not viewed very favorably. So try to have a team of people with complementary skill sets. Then you need to have identified an incubator. I already mentioned that in a previous slide. And you must have already applied for a letter of intent from that incubator. So this is a document that you should have already applied for. Also, and you will have to upload it with your application. If you're in academia, say you're a faculty or you're a PhD student or a postdoc, you'll have to provide a no objection certificate from your institution. This is required because for that 18 months, you have to devote your time to your project. And so if you're teaching somewhere or you're involved in research in an academic institution, the institution should be okay with you taking that time off or devoting yourself full time to the big project. If you're privately employed, on the other hand, you should provide an undertaking that once you get this grant, you will be quitting your current employment and devoting yourself full time to the project. Also, if you're in academia or if you're a faculty and you cannot devote time to your project, please note that you can always hire team members who can do the work for you, whereas you can be in a supervisory role. Now, in case of a company, the age of the company is very important. from the call date, your company should not be more than 5 years old. Now, the shareholding of the PI should be the PI who's applying on behalf of the company should hold a certain quantum of shares in that company. The reason for this is BIRAC wants to ensure that an employee who has no shareholding in the company might leave midway. So they do want to keep that 18 months of work uninterrupted and unhindered by such incidences. So it is encouraged that the PI should hold shares in the company. And in the current cycle, we've actually held some PIs ineligible because they did not fulfill that criteria. Now, they cannot be stakeholders in other biotech companies that are ineligible, meaning biotech companies that are more than 5 years old. So some of these, I'm not going into too much detail. Please contact us or your big partner of choice or even your incubator and resolve some of these issues when you're applying. Also, you will have to provide company financials and a lot of documents such as registration certificate, memorandum of association, articles of association, and so on. So just be prepared that you have to provide these documents. Now, let's come to what I think most of you potential applicants are most interested in is the stages of evaluation. Now, you have to remember that this is an extremely competitive grant. So needless to say, the evaluation process is also quite exhaustive. So there are 4 stages to it. The first is the PSC, or the Preliminary Screening Committee, which basically goes through your written proposal and decides whether you, as an applicant, whether it's a company or an individual, fit all the criteria for eligibility, whether you are providing all the supporting documents to support that eligibility, and whether the scheme within which you've applied is actually a true scheme fit. So if your solution has no biotechnological component, this is the point where you can be disqualified because of it. Also, from the current cycle, plagiarism, non-plagiarism declaration has been requested from the applicants to make sure that the contents of your proposal have not been copied or borrowed from anywhere. Also, you should have sufficient written content in your proposal for the subsequent stages of evaluation to take place, because the next stage is the online review, where your written, all the applications that a BIRAC receives is categorized according to the theme, and the 5 themes are diagnostics, drugs, medical devices, agriculture and allied areas, and industrial biotech. So under these 5 themes, they are categorized, and then for each proposal, 5 domain experts are sought out, and this proposal is sent to them, and then they evaluate this proposal based on certain criteria that BIRAC has set for them, and I will discuss that very soon in another slide. And the novelty of your solution, the commercial potential, the feasibility of execution, how much data you already have to support your claims, and the strength of your team. These are some of the things that these online reviewers look for. And then they give you certain scores. And if you make the cutoff score for a particular theme, you move on to the to present before a technical expert panel, which is the TEP stage. Now, this again is thematic. Because of the current COVID situation, these meetings are now virtual. So there is an 8-minute recorded presentation, followed by a 20-minute question answer with the panel. And so each candidate gets about 30 minutes to do this face-to-face defense of their proposal. Now here, the technical competence of the technical feasibility of the proposal, the technical competence of the team strength, and the commercial potential, everything is gauged by a technical panel that is selected by the approval of BIRAC. Now, if you clear this and you get the cutoff scores that are high enough to cross the threshold onto the next evaluation stage, where it is the expert selection committee. Now, this committee consists of the chairs and the co-chairs of each theme in the technical expert panel, and they get together and decide on how many proposals they're going to fund in total, what the cutoff for each theme would be, and accordingly, if you make the cutoff, a final decision is arrived at, which will then be communicated to you by the big partner. Now, this entire process, because of the current situation, takes about 6 to 8 months because of various delays that are not in anybody's hands at this point. After this, a successful, once you have been successfully granted, the due diligence will be carried out by the big partner through whom you made the application, and then you will, the money, the 50 lakh, that quantum of funds will be released to you in 3 tranches based on the achieving of your milestones that you set out. Now, who are the evaluators? Now, this is for every theme, BIRAC approves a list of domain experts, investors, business leaders, IP experts. So they try to keep the panel for every stage of evaluation, except for the final stage. For the online review and for the technical expert panel, they try to keep it varied and covering all aspects, so that if your innovation is technologically sound, it should also have good commercial potential, because we know the failure rates of startups. So without a clear business idea and a plan to commercialize your product, your startup might fail. And so we get inputs from a varied group of experts that can help you succeed in your entrepreneurial journey. Now, normally in the current cycle, there were 5 reviewers looking at your proposal, 5 or more, a minimum of 5, and they scored your proposal based on BIRAC approved criteria. And then the geometric mean of these scores were taken and cutoff decisions were made according to theme. Now, whether you move on to the next evaluating stage or not, you will always receive feedback, and the big partner will communicate this feedback to you, where you will know what aspects of your proposal were winning under the current circumstances and what weren't. And then you can work on them and come back with a fortified and a stronger application the next time. Now let's look at some of the evaluation parameters. Now it is very crucial for here to keep in mind, especially for those of you coming from an academic background, that this is not a research grant. If you're currently involved in exploratory research that has no clear commercial potential, you might want to wait before applying for this grant. If you're a PhD student or a postdoc with a body of work behind you, please remember that your PhD or postdoc work cannot be submitted as a proposal. You have to extend your work with an eye to translatable and scalable technology when you apply. So a technologically sound project does not always bag you this grant. It also should have a good business perspective to it. Now, from the time you submit your written proposal to when you make your technical presentation before experts, at every stage of your proposed work, you are being evaluated based on the following criteria. The first is the unmet need. What unmet need is your solution addressing? Is it a critical need? Have you spoken to and mapped the appropriate end users and received feedback from them? Do you have some data and statistics that show you how dire the situation is? Which again, almost 20% of weightage is given to you identifying a true unmet need. That brings you to the novelty or the differentiation of your product. So your proposed solution, how novel is it? What is your competitive landscape like? Are there established players in that particular market? If yes, how is your solution different? The differentiators should be very strongly highlighted, because markets for certain products are often saturated with many similar solutions. And BIRAC, with its focus on intellectual property generation and at the same time commercial viability, would want to know whether your technology is novel enough to achieve both. And one of the key feedback that online reviewers or even the TEP panel comes back with is the lack of novelty. And so for this grant, that is a very key factor. The novelty and the differentiation should come out very clearly. Now, the value proposition. Now, is your solution going to add value? Is it, for instance, is it going to be an import substitute? Is it going to disrupt the current market? Is it going to lower costs significantly? So these are some of the things that you should think about, the value that your solution is adding to the existing scenario. So you should give that a very good thought. Now, coming to the technical viability, it is no chance that 30% of the total scoring is done on this basis. So you have to have the technical details of your project very well laid out. If you have an existing IP, please mention that, provide sufficient supporting data to back up any claims that you might be making about your product. You can also cite research papers if you have not collected sufficient data to support all your claims. Next comes the team strength and the business perspective. Now, all reviewers will tell you that they look at the team strength, and many a decision in favor of a grant is made based on this. So highlight your team, their expertise. Ideally, you should have a multi-person team, as I already mentioned, with complementary skill sets. Now to this, add a varied network of advisors, mentors that are appropriate to your domain. And then you will have an impressive combination, an impressive team, because the reviewers should have faith that you'll be able to execute your project within that 18-month period. Now, to improve the business perspective, now most of us are so excited about the technical aspect of our innovation that we often ignore the business aspect. And most written grants that do not make it past a certain stage, often this is the part that's lacking, which is the business perspective. So please get a business advisor to map out your target market, figure out your go-to-market strategy, your long-term commercialization plan, and all of this you should include in your written part of the proposal. So your written part of the proposal should not be weak in the business aspect of things. Now, how do we write a winning grant? Now, I'm sharing some of my observations from successful grantees in the past. First of all, the secret to a well-written grant is the groundwork that you put in. The quality of your writing will greatly influence the impression that a reviewer has when they first read your proposal. So start with a strong problem statement that encompasses their unmet need, your solution, go into details as much as you can, and why it is better than the existing solution in the market. Again, coming back to the differentiation part of it. Have clarity on who your end users are and what solutions they are really looking for. If your end user is a doctor, for instance, talk to as many as you can and get clarity on some of the ground realities of the problem that you're designing the solution for. Provide sufficient technical details with illustrations, videos, flowcharts, and as much information as you're willing to reveal. If you are IP protecting your innovation, just reveal however much you're comfortable revealing, but don't leave key points out. Wishy-washy technical sections often end up antagonizing the reviewer because they are missing the importance of what you're proposing. Provide all the supporting documents, like the proposal summary, the concept note, which at a glimpse will give your reviewer the highlight of your solution. The novelty note, again, is another important document that you should not forget, that summarizes your major competitors in the market and what parameters you're beating them at. Also provide a crisp slide deck following the template provided by BIRAC. Complete all sections and have realistic work plans with alternative strategies should plan A fail for your project. What are the alternate strategies that you've already thought of? And give them realistic timelines. So that will give faith to the reviewers that you're able to, that you will be able to execute the project on time. Now, provide preliminary data to support your claims. I've already mentioned this. Why should anybody believe the claims that you're making about your product? So back it up with some preliminary data, and it could even come from publications that you've had and so on. Most often we see that reviewers depend on this because they want to make sure that the product can be completed or the project can be completed within the short time that is given to you. Highlight your strength, the strength of your team members and mentors to inspire confidence in both the technical and the business expertise that will help you launch your entrepreneurial journey. Now, will you be able to generate IP at the end of your 18 months? That is also something that you should think about. Does your product depend on other patented technologies, and do you have the freedom to operate in that domain? So these are some of the key points that you should keep in mind. Now, how do you prepare? Like I said, a good proposal can only be written if you have put in the groundwork. So first, begin with the outline. So first, an effective title. The title should, with minimal use of technical jargon, convey the unmet need, your solution, and what it entails. Okay, and so some have applicants often produce paragraphs in terms of titles. Please keep your titles short. sweet and convey the point that you're wanting to make. Now, when addressing your unmet need, you're often providing a lot of statistics. Please provide the sources of such statistics so that they're more believable. Also, to effectively capture your competitive landscape, please do the appropriate market research, the prior art search that will tell you what commodities exist already in the market. Because this is some of the things that you don't want the expert or the reviewer to point out to you that what about X? X already exists on the market. How do you compete with
मैं
X?
आज ही कल ही syllabus complete किया.
Next, we come to the body of your.
The two things I wanted to do was RRC for the MPhil.
Here you have to make
तो वो
sure
भी मैं
that
वैसे
you're
असाइन
covering.
किया है.
Sorry,
आज ही कल
somebody is
को भेज भी दिया.
unmuted. Can you just mute yourself,
So
please?
they are all okay with the guide and all. So formally we'll start that. Or syllabus I wanted to get over because 5, 6, 7, 8 का नया syllabus. Yeah. So I think everybody sent. I think अलका का था वो भी उन्होंने सुबह भेज दिया. Okay, so वो भी डाल देंगे तो वो भी हो जाएगा. And once that is done, we'll sit together and talk because when I want to.
Excuse me, somebody's mic is on. Can you please mute yourself?
I'll let you know exactly what the situation is. इधर क्या है? So that it will be easy.
Okay, I'm going to continue. I hope everybody can hear me. So for the rest of your, the body of your proposal, please make sure that you're addressing.
We have exams. So when we have
please give me a second. I will see that the person who's talking is muted. Please give me a second. Okay, so let's continue. So for the body of your proposal, please make sure that the key matrices of evaluation, as I pointed out earlier, are properly and thoroughly covered. Have all the documents that you need to prepare them, put some care into preparing them and upload them at the right sections. Also get feedback and help during drafting your proposal, and your big partner can greatly help you in this. We at SINE, we go through several stages of a person's preparing their proposal so that we make sure that they're being the most effective in conveying their message. Now coming to a very controversial yet key factor, which is the data. Now this is a ideation to proof of concept grant, so you ideally should not be expected to have that much data. But if you're making some key claims and you have a small proof of principle or some preliminary data to at least back some of them, it would bode you well to actually include it in your presentation. Similarly, if you have patents, papers, other sort of data that kind of shows that the feasibility of your project, please have that also presented when you're writing your proposal. Finally, map out a realistic work plan with well-defined objectives, because that shows that you've put some thought into what exactly you're going to do in the 18 months. So what are the few key things to focus on? The proposal summary. This is the first thing that the reviewer, online reviewer reads. And if you can convey your message succinctly and clearly in your proposal summary, the battle is half won. Secondly, the novelty and competition should come out very clearly. How is your solution novel? Who are your competitors? And how are you beating them in the market? Again, of course, the objectives and the milestones with any alternative approaches that you might choose at a later date. The feasibility of your project, the challenges that you anticipate that you might face, and how you've already made a plan on how to overcome them. That shows them that you know that you're not walking on air. You actually know the challenges that you might face when working in a particular domain. Also, get help if you don't have a business mentor to figure out your go-to-market strategy. Because like I said, commercialization is one of the key factors that you're being gauged on, and you should have a clear go-to-market strategy at least. Also, the TRL level, if you are projecting a TRL level higher than 3, you're going beyond the scope of big, and reviewers won't be interested and will actually propose that you apply to other grants. So please make sure right at the beginning what your TRL level is. And again, you can seek help from your big partner from this, from your incubator for this, okay? Next is the budget. The budgeting should be done in a realistic manner, and I will go over the budget very quickly. And of course, the presentation. And here I'm not only talking about the slide deck that you're supposed to upload with your presentation, but it's the entire presentation of your idea. It should be very effective, it should be very forceful, and it should be very scientific. Now, the budget is a very important part of this grant, and to correctly budget your expenses, you should consider the following heads and follow the BIRAC big guidelines closely for this. So for equipment, for instance, they give you maximum 30% of the project cost. Now here you have to keep in mind that the incubator that you've selected should not have some of the expensive equipment. So wherever you can, you have to avoid buying expensive equipment for yourself, because you have to remember expensive equipment also comes with its maintenance costs, which is why you are encouraged to work in an incubator which already has some of the state-of-the-art research facilities available to you, and you do not have to spend money buying it and maintaining it. Again, manpower is the maximum that you can apportion is about 30% of the project cost. If you or any of your team members have another source of income, you cannot take a salary from this grant. And even if you are drawing a salary for these 18 months, it cannot be higher than 50K a month. Consumables and contingency, these are contingency and some of the external costs. These are some of the other, what comes under other heads. These are some of the flexible portions of the budget. And so you can keep extra money here, which later on with the help of your big partner, you can apportion to whichever head requires it, okay? Make sure you have the incubation charges that you've spoken to your incubator and have that correctly mapped out for the 18 months. Whether you need lab facilities, how much will that cost? Whether you just need office facilities, how much will that cost? So have a chat with your incubator before you submit the grant. Also outsourcing, what exactly are you going to be outsourcing? And if your project requires it, please give it at least 30% of the project cost. Please keep some money in the IP head, because BIRAC encourages the generation of IP. And so the IP generated during the course of the 18 months, you can apportion in your budget. This is something that I will just quickly go over. BIRAC has included a royalty payment clause to its agreement with successful big grantees, and you need to worry about this only if your startup starts generating revenue, because at some point you'll have to share royalty with BIRAC if it does, and also if you're doing a successful technology transfer or licensing out the IP that you're generating during this time. So for these details, please go and visit the BIRAC big website and read the guidelines thoroughly. Finally, the things to keep in mind: start your application process early. This is a very long drawn form with several sections and subsections, several documents to be uploaded. So please do not wait till the last minute. Get help wherever you can from your big partner. Get the necessary letters. I mentioned a couple of documents that have to be uploaded, especially if you're an individual applicant. And so approach your incubator, approach your academic institution, and get these necessary letters that have to be uploaded with your application. Collect and present the preliminary data properly. Any validation and supporting documents as extra documents, you can upload them. So anything that supports your application, please, even if there is no place for it under other documents, you can always upload them. Make sure your team is highlighted, their skill sets, your advisors, you've spoken to them, you've included clinical advisors if yours is a clinical solution. So the appropriate domain experts are already there, and especially business advisors if you're not comfortable about the business aspect perspective of your product. And so make sure that your team has all of that. Try to submit at least a week in advance. We say this because the portal often crashes at the last minute because it is taking such a large volume of applications. So prepare and submit at least a week in advance. And please remember that on September 15th, the deadline is not midnight, but 5:30 p.m. So any big related questions, queries, whether you select us as a big partner or not, please reach out to us at sine_big@sineIITB.org and visit our YouTube channel, get in touch with our team, and we will help you figure out most of your big related queries. With that, I'm drawing this session to an end, and I will move to the Q&A part of the session. Okay? Okay, so first I would like to invite Priya, Dr. Priya, if you're still there. Can you, on behalf of the IIT Madras Bioincubator, give us some overview of the questions that you've normally faced? And if we could help clarify some of those. Okay. Okay. So I don't think Dr. Priya is there. Okay, let's move on. I will open up the session to questions directed at Partha and at Sudarshan, who's our panelist today. But before I do that, I have a couple of questions of my own. Partha, first to you. You have reviewed more than 100 proposals. You have helped more than 200 applicants preparing them for their TEPs. Can you give us, from your perspective, when you are looking at a written proposal, what factors make a difference?
Thank you, Dr. That was a very nice presentation. As a reviewer, what I would first look forward to is a simple title. If the title is confusing, long, then it is a clear put off for me. I will just give an example as to how not to write a title. Just give me a second and I will just read out this. Secure genomics platform for diagnosing tuberculosis, drug resistant, and what is it called as spatio-temporal transmission modeling. I think this is a fit thing for when you're writing a clinical paper or submitting to Nature or Cell or any of those kind of things. Now, what is this startup trying to do? I'm not clear after going through the title. Is it diagnosing TB? Is it diagnosing drug resistance? And I mean, immediately I will not know what this spatio-temporal transmission modeling. So if the title is not clear, it is clearly a put off for me. I mean, you have killed 50% of my interest.
Sorry, Partha, I think some people are finding it a bit difficult to hear you. Could it be possible to, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, it's much clearer now. Yes, so the first point, yes, so go ahead, please.
Yeah, the first thing is that the title needs to be very simple. I want to capture drug resistance to tuberculosis. I mean, it would have, and also I want to have the transmission patterns. If you are saying that, or I want to evaluate transmission patterns, then I know what you are talking about. But this kind of a title often is a put off. You are not applying for a big grant as an academician. You are not submitting to any medical or any other journal. You are submitting a proposal to BIRAC as a technopreneur. So, I mean, bring in business perspective. And a businessman never writes a title like this. So first thing that I would look forward to is a clear title, easy to understand title. The second one, when you are writing a project report, some of the applicants I see, they write it very succinctly. I mean, succinctly is not that they are too brief. It doesn't capture the essence of their work. There are others who write 2-3 pages, and which clearly tells me this person has not understood what he is working on. So I want it to be a brief one, bringing out clearly what you are trying to do. And that is much more important for, for a reviewer. The third thing is sometimes all we see is only a technical drawing and nothing else. We can't make anything head or tail out of it. So that should be avoided. Then team composition, that is also very, very critical. And we'll by and large go by that. How strong is the team? Is the team capable of executing this entire project? So, I mean, we totally discourage a one-man show kind of a thing or two people show kind of a thing. It should be adequately represented. You need to have tech guys, you need to have marketing guys, you need to have advisors, so on and so forth. Right, but there is the other extreme also. I have seen applicants where they bring in the entire department they are working in as mentors and advisors. I was a reviewer in one of the TEP meetings, and this person had captured the entire biosciences department of Indian Institute of Science. That doesn't impress anybody. The last thing is business viability, competition. And I come across cases where they write, I don't have competition. There is nothing in this world which doesn't have competition. There is no innovation. There is no such innovation. The person or the customer is using some other substitute to meet that particular need. And that need needs to, use case has to be captured. So this is how I go about evaluating an application. The title should be simple. The technology should be described in a succinct manner. Then are you able to generate IP out of it? That needs to be captured. How good is your team? Or what is the kind of representation your team has? Finally, how are you going to execute the product? There are applications which say that we want to develop oral insulin. It's a 10 to 15 year project. And it is not for a project like BIG. Maybe you need to approach some other thing, because in 50 lakhs, you will not be able to do even the basic testing. So these are some of the things, Bratati, that we look into while evaluating an application.
Thank you, Partha. I'll just summarize the points that you made. Those were very critical points, and I'll summarize it again for the benefit of our audience. So make your title effective. It should not be so filled with technical jargon that the point is lost. The second point is have a team strength should be very well highlighted. Third point is your business perspective should come out very clearly. So you are hearing from a reviewer here. So if you already find that you want to apply in this current cycle and you already find yourself lacking in these aspects, I ask you or request you to please get some help and strengthen these aspects of the proposal. Thank you, Partha, for sharing your experience with us. I will now move on to Sudarshan, who I'm sure most people want to direct their questions to. So Sudarshan was a successful big grantee in the last cycle. Sudarshan, how did you prepare for the big grant? Where did you reach for help when you needed it? What resources were available to you? Can you share it with our audience?
Yes, okay. Thank you, Dr. Bhakti. So how I started preparing for this BIRAG big grant is, first I looked at the guideline document present in the BIRAG website and understood what the processes were and judging criteria was like. One. Second, I took a workshop on a session on grant writing conducted by BIRAG itself. So once I did that, then I moved on to, okay, what should I focus on this particular grant? And there were three major things we split it into. So one, it was the problem. Next is the solution. Three is the implementation. So when we were starting to write the problem and solution part was already complete. So the only work that was left for us was to articulate the problem and the solution. So Again, coming to the problem, yeah, there were a lot of data about the need that we got through online reports and articles. But in addition to that, we also spoke to few potential customers. So again, for us, the innovation which we are doing lies in the agriculture sector. So we spoke to experts who have already done field studies, case studies on farms, and we spoke to them, got data, field data, and we also was able to form an understanding about the problem through that. So in our proposal, we were able to get into the nitty-gritty of the problem as well, and also were able to give the picture of the problem. So again, when we get that kind of understanding, it is easy also for us to visualize how the business would work out and what the uh, commercial viability of this particular solution which we'll be doing would be. And coming to the solution part, again, we already had chosen a particular technology that was IP protected, and so we clearly knew what the technical advantages were when compared to the ones existing in the market. And again, we were able to clearly articulate that. So once we started writing the proposal, the major part for us was to figure out the implementation. And again, in the implementation, there are three parts to that. One is the team, next is the objective, or third is the budget. So the team, yeah, we had three co-members, two advisors, one technical, one business, and again, there were also 5 interns who are working with us part-time on doing this customer and market research, basically. And next part is the objectives and budget. So again, how good we are as a team would be reflected by how we set the objectives for ourselves and how we actually prepare the budget. So coming to the objectives, again, there would be 1 or 2 goals that should be there for any project. And for those 2 goals, there will be a multiple set of objectives, and for every objective, there could be a lot of systematic procedures that we need to follow. So again, we roughly brainstormed and clearly, jotted down what the objective should be for us in the 18 months period and what would be done. And again, for that objective, we created an exhaustive budget. And once we did all of this, articulating the problem, the solution, and the implementation plan as well, we had enough time to give it out to our mentors, and also we also gave it to, people at SINE and got feedback about, again, does it look feasible, is it good or not? And again, we incorporated that feedback into our proposal. Again, we had enough time to edit the proposal, and after that, yeah, we did submit the proposal. So that was how the whole approach was like. And again, in the period of the approach, again, reaching out to big, which I think we should actively reach out to the big partner. That is one big source of help during the whole grant writing period, number 1. And 2, if we also have mentors who could help us with the grant, again, they could also give us the network who would help us with the input needed for the grant. So these were the sources which we relied on for getting inputs regarding our proposal.
So thank you, Sudarshan. So Sudarshan basically is validating my inviting him to this session. He's very effectively captured the entire process. So for those of you who are looking at effective grant writing, maybe pay attention to how he answered the question that I posed to him, right? So he's broken everything down. I'm again summarizing what Sudarshan just said. He's broken down his problem and even my question today into 3 aspects: the problem, the solution, and the implementation. And he figured out what was his team and his technology lacking, and they zeroed in on implementation, and that is what they sought to then strengthen. Now, in his case, another point that I would like to draw attention to is what he mentioned. This was an agri-tech solution. So they went and spoke to the domain experts. They went on the field and figured out what the actual issues were. And that is something that is very admirable, and that is actually even necessary for an innovation like his. I'm not going deeper into his solution, but so you see how much groundwork there goes into writing an effective proposal. So I would suggest that all of you follow his lead on this. Divide your proposal into these 3 aspects: the problem, the solution, the implementation. You might not have the benefit that he had, where he had an existing IP. So it was very easy for him to figure out the novelty of his solution, the differentiators, the technical aspects were solidified. Even in the absence of that, you can seek help from mentors, like he pointed out, who will help you solidify some of those ideas that are not yet solidified. So that's where you reach out for help. And so reaching out to help to the right people either domain experts or your mentors or your business advisors is what strengthens your proposal. So that is, I think, the sum and summary of what Sudarshan just pointed out. What I'm is take some question answers. Okay, so somebody is asking what the subject matter of Sudarshan's grant was. So Sudarshan, can you just clearly, bringing the microphone close to your face, just tell them what your solution was, what the problem you were addressing and what your solution was?
Yeah, sure. So again, the solution which we were developing, okay, the title of our proposal was Novel On-Farm Cold Storage for Marginal and Small Farmers. So this is the title, and yeah, this kind of summarizes what we are actually doing. So the problem is that right now, farmers, especially those who produce fruits and vegetables, they get into a distressed sale mode, mainly because, again, mainly because of the perishable natures of their produce. One, two, again, they don't have enough what marketing capabilities. So they just rely on one or two traders in whom they know, and they consistently sell to them. And again, they don't store their produce enough to find the right market for them. And again, there's also this problem of them losing a portion of their produce to wastage. Again, due to the same problem, because there's only limited time and there is only limited marketing capabilities for them. So again, their cold storage is a vital solution for them to extend the shelf life of their produce, and this gives them with enough time to reach out to a wider market. And also, by preserving the quality of the produce for a longer period of time, we also give them the opportunity to increase their income, basically. So that is the problem. And again, coming to the field study, the field study which we got to know about, again, experts who have done field study told us that, again, there were like close to 60% of the farmers who actually told that, again, most of their income loss was mainly due to due to lack of cold storage. So that was an additional strength to our proposal, basically, because a lot of farmers are already feeling the need for that. And knowing that, we looked at the existing solutions in the market, the different technology that is being used, the cost of that, and then we decided to use a technology that will be affordable to them. So right now, I mean, if I want to, if okay, I'll just like briefly tell about the technicalities of that. Right now, the high-end cold storage uses vapor compression systems. They use a compressor to cool a space, and again, the low-end systems use water to cool it. But in the case of water, there is this problem of it being not that effective as like a compressor cooler. So the temperature drop which we could achieve is only 5%. So in that case, uh, they could extend the shelf life by only say half or a week max. And it is not as effective as the hybrid, as the compression cooler. So we actually brought in a solution that is intermediary. So the capital cost of that would be intermediary, and the operating cost would also be lower than that of the existing compressor coolers. And again, when we look at the operations of that, the financials would then make sense for the farmers, is what we understand. So that kind of summarizes our proposal.
Okay, Sudarshan, should any of the panelists want to contact you, are you comfortable with your
Yeah, definitely.
email address being shared? Okay, so
Yeah.
anybody, I think I had a question from Bonali who wants your contact details, so I will share it. So whoever is interested in talking further with Sudarshan about how to write this grant and other aspects, please, we will share his contacts in the chat. Sudarshan, actually, you can go ahead and share it in the chat.
Yeah, I'll share in the chat box.
Okay, Abhik, I'm allowing you to talk. Can you ask the question that you wanted to ask? Can you unmute yourself? Okay, I have several hands raised. Abhik, can you speak up? Okay, I'll come back to you, Abhik. You just be ready, or I can even. Okay, Abhik, you are speaking, but we can't hear you. Okay, then I'll take you in a little bit. Okay. Now I'm taking another question. So I have a couple of raised hands. I'm taking one from Vishwajit Dey. Vishwajit, do you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Who did you
thank you so much, panel.
Question to?
Anyone can answer. Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. First, so I have a IP already filed, and I wish to propose a technology for clean energy in the BIRAC funding. So I wish to know what are the further classifications that are included in a clean energy sector for BIRAC. Like
I will cut your question short here. Why don't you get in touch with us? We'll talk about your solution and we'll figure out if it is a scheme fit for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Yeah, fine. Thank you so much.
So please write to me at SINE _ big, and I will share my phone number with you, and you can just call me and we can discuss. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay. Next, we have Bhadra Sharma. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, thank you for all the guidance, and it's been most informative. My question is pretty basic. When I go through the BIRAC proposal document, it asks me to identify an incubator and apply for a letter of intent. However, in your presentation, you've been emphasizing on the BIRAC partner. And I understand that there are 8 partners. So my question to you is, during this preliminary application, one is, how do we go about identifying a partner? Is there any documentation that we need to present from the partner? Or what's the whole process? Because so far we've just reached out to institutions and asked them for an LOI to be our incubator. But about the partner identification process is I'm a little blank.
This is a common query that we face. I think there is always some sort of confusion because you have to pick those 2 entities, right?
Yeah.
So, like I pointed out in my presentation, an institute can be both. Okay, so it can be both a technology incubator, a Bionest funded incubator, and it could also be a big partner. And so what I would request you to do is first go onto the BIRAC Big website and look at the 8 big partners that are there. Okay.
Yes.
So that can inform your decision. Often people make this choice in different ways. Often it's geographical. So if you're on our coast, like, you will select us, or it is also there what the big partner is offering. So some big partners you might want to tap into, like I said, our network, because it is more suitable to your technology. So in that case, you want to choose us as your big partner. Now, often what happens is applicants do this, however controversial it is, that they choose one big partner, they fail to secure the grant, they apply again with a different big partner who they think they have a better chance with. So this also happens. So I would suggest for you, if you're a first-time applicant, pick the big partner that is most in tune with what you would require going forward. So think of you already having your startup, executed your project well, having your startup. Which area, which incubator could help you further? That's one way to look at it. Okay, that's one way to select your big partner. Otherwise, you can also see what kind of help you're getting. So the big partner will help you throughout the process, right? So if you speak to several big partners and you're like, okay, the mentoring here is good, these people are more receptive and are giving me more time. So all of these factors could factor in into how you choose a big partner. Now the incubator is a little more trickier. You have to execute your 18-month project there, so it should be somewhere close, unless your project allows for virtual incubation, in which case you can choose it in any geographical location. But the incubator should be close to you, should be well equipped with the facilities that you require to execute your project. So both these decisions have to be made by you at the time of application. And like I said, like SINE, there are many big partners that are also incubators. So if you find a good match like that.
So my question is there anything that I need to submit from the big partner as well? Or I just need to say that hypothetically, I'm partnering with SINE. Is that what I need to say in my application?
What will happen is when you see a drop-down menu when you're applying, which you've already seen, right? Where you select a big partner. Now, when you select a big partner, you don't have to do anything on your end. What happens is we receive that application. So if you apply to SINE, we will see your application. We will process it downstream. We will be communicating all the reviewer feedback, whatever the results are at every evaluation step, you will be hearing from us. The communication will come from us.
Okay. So
That's
there is
it.
no evaluation, or I need not contact the partner to get empaneled
You
or
should
anything.
contact the partner.
I mean, for a discussion.
Yes,
For a discussion. Okay.
but there is no formal paperwork.
Formal. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Abhik, can you unmute yourself and see if you can ask your question? Otherwise, I'll go to the next person. Okay, why don't I just ask the question with you? So Abhik had this question. Over the course of discussion, it has transpired that although the grant is for development of proof of concept, over the years, some kind of prototyping is still critical to succeeding. So do we still mention our TRL level as 3 even after prototyping? Now, this is a very pertinent and tricky question, and I will address it the best to my ability, and I can, if Partha wants to take it on, like I can allow him to answer bits of it. So determining your TRL level, so if you say have a prototype, but it requires refining, it requires some feedback to improve, like, so it requires more refining and improvement, then you're still within the scope of big. If you have a minimal viable product, you have already moved beyond the scope. That's the simplest answer to your question. So if your TRL level is going above 3 and 4, and you can get somebody's help to determine that, you're already beyond the scope of big, and then you can look at other funding opportunities. If you are in that situation, please reach out to us and we'll help you. Partha, do you have something to say with regards to that?
I mean, if you want to validate proof of principle and initial stages of reaching a MVP, minimum viable product, this grant will be a right one for you. Beyond that, I don't think this grant is a good fit. Right? I mean, if you if you already have some basic results and you want to go in for a proof of concept, apply through BIG. If you want to establish a proof of principle, apply through BIG. But beyond that or below that, if it is too experimental, too theoretical, I mean, if it is too basic, you are at a pretty early stage, then BIG may not be the right grant for you.
Thank you, Partha. Can I go over to Pramod? Pramod, can you ask your question, please? Unmute yourself and please ask your question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Ma'am, you were talking about the TRL 3, or we should not exceed beyond TRL 3 while we are applying for the big grant. Yeah. Now the question is, like, in the 18-month span, actually where we should fit, like whether the TRL again it should be on TRL 9, or the whole plan it should be fit for the 18 months which we have to submit.
Okay, let me answer that question. So from TRL 3, the max you can go is TRL 6, because beyond that, the large scale validation, etc., that you will require, this grant does not support that. So the max you can go is up to the technology development part, which is around TRL 5 to 6. Okay, the technology demonstration and scale up, and in case I don't know what your solution is, if you need large scale validation, all of that will require a quantum of funds and the time investment that this grant does not provide.
Yes, ma'am.
So the max you can go is from TRL 3 to TRL 6 and not beyond that.
Yeah, to add to Bratati, you are moving from a MVP. You enter the stream at MVP stage. You exit the scheme at proof of concept stage. That is, you have a market ready kind of a thing. Now you need to do some more, certifications, regulatory approvals and all that, and go in for manufacture. You need to take it up to that stage.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
And there are, not every project can get completed in 18 months. So whatever is feasible in 18 months, you just put it across. Be truthful.
Okay, okay,
right? I cannot say that I will come up with a quantum computer in 18 months. I mean, I'm just giving it as an example, right? So, I mean, be realistic about your timelines.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Partha.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Partha. I have another question for Sudarshan. Sudarshan, today, one thing that I would ask you that would really benefit our audience is what advice would you give?
On the advice, I would just ask them to follow the same process.
Can you hold the microphone closer so we can hear?
Okay.
Yes.
Is my voice clear now?
Yes.
Yeah, so I would just ask them to follow the process, the same thing. Focus on the problem, make sure it is clear and we give enough data about it. Then make sure we are clear about what the solution is, what its advantages are, and how it could solve the problem, and the business viability, commercial viability, and then also clear about the implementation plan. So this is the okay, they should have clarity in all of that. But in addition to that, again, there are few lessons which I learned when I was writing the grant. So one is it's always better to have a timeline for proposal preparation itself. Say so many days for completing these many questions, then these many days for getting a review, then these many days for editing, and I want to submit it by this time. So it's better to have a proposal timeline for proposal preparation. Next is, yeah, as I told before, understand the evaluation criteria, review processes, and the reviewers, and getting into the semantics and how we write the proposal. Yeah, it's important that we arrange the sentences logically. Try to avoid jargon as long as possible. And again, because there will be a lot of non-experts reading the proposal as well in a few cases. So, and again, while writing the proposal, again, these are few grammar rules, but no first person, no noun strings. Try to use action verbs, use active voice, and be clear, give enough data, and more importantly, be concise, because there is also word limit. If we write about the problem for a page, the the reviewer, he himself will become bored while reading the proposals. So that is also an important thing. And again, presentation is also an important thing. The content is important, but the presentation is also as important. So make sure we create list wherever possible, and the indentation is good in the proposal. So yeah, so make sure that you have good practices while writing the grant. So this is the advice that I have.
Thank you, Sudarshan. I think Sudarshan rightly pointed out that you devote certain sections, a certain number of days for certain sections, to make sure you have enough time to write, edit, and re-edit, and also take in inputs from others who are advising you and improve your writing and your presentation of the entire material. Okay, we have a question from Hema. Hema, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Good afternoon. Very informative presentation. Thank you, sir and ma'am. I'm a doctor. I have a product which is like I've been trying to develop for some time, but it is not refined, as you said. And I want to take the product online for sales and for application. It is like it is scalable according to me, because there are a lot of people who are in need of it, but I want to take it online. So there are two objectives in my business proposal that I need help for, including finance and guidance with technology. Do I fit into the BIG criteria?
So Hema, with regards to this, we need to have...
Question?
Yeah, so go ahead, Pat.
The first question.
Sorry?
The first question you need to answer yourself is this, madam. That is there a bio component to it? Online, offline, we will discuss later. Is there a bio component?
Yes, it is a medical device. It is like a medical device, like a orthosis that is to be applied. Which is applied externally, like a splint.
Can you give me the name of the device?
Sorry, sir, I can't.
No, I couldn't get you. Can you name the device, please?
My device, I haven't named it yet. It is still in a concept stage, and I have been trying to develop it. So it's like an external application from outside of your body, like wearing a wearing a wristband or something like that, or like a splint.
For which condition?
It is for spasticity because of in children which is caused by cerebral palsy, or in adults which is caused by head injury, surgery, or stroke. So
Okay.
I find that there is no similar product available in India. There are some foreign products, but they are not for sale in India or are very expensive. So that is how I want to make it. That is, it will be convenient and economic at a competitive price, which is affordable to the Indian market. That is one part.
Yeah. Let me answer your first part. At least I know of 4 entrepreneurs who are working on a similar kind of a thing in India, right? And this is very much doable, and you can apply for a BIG grant to develop this one. As far as marketing is concerned, the second part of it,
Yes.
you market online, you market offline, it is no concern of BIG.
Okay.
As long as you present a strong marketing model and a revenue model, then they are fine with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So you can do both. I mean, in short, if I have to say that, you can apply for BIG for this kind of a project, right? And you can market it in whichever form and fashion you want.
Okay, so the application can be for developing the prototype, the viable product, minimum viable product.
Yes.
Dr. Hema, we can discuss this in detail. Just reach out to us and we'll fix a meeting and we'll discuss your solution.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Nikki, you wanted to ask a question. Please go ahead.
Hello, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
So my question is directed to Partha, sir. Sir, actually, we are working on a biomedical device for surgery in gastro-related problems. It's a basic endoscopic device for doing out surgeries on Notes platform.
Yeah.
By a natural orifice. So currently, there does not exist a platform of such a device on a flexible platform. There are certain devices in the laparoscopic department developed by only 2 companies, one being Olympus and one being Johnson & Johnson. In their patent documents, they have mentioned that this same device can be elongated and can be made in a flexible department, in flexible platform, but such a device does not exist as of now. Okay. So currently we are working on a flexible platform device for surgical applications, and our patent application is also going on. Like, we are not sure whether we will be able to get the patent or not due to it's a language issue, if I can say out loud that. So can this be included in a big grant? And secondly, even if we don't get the patent, we may find a workaround that it becomes very cost-effective surgery per use. And because we are working to make it more user-friendly and the ergonomics aspect of it, so would it be a feasible product in the future?
This is a question that has to be taken offline.
Okay.
Yeah, you please write to Bratati. She will forward it to me and I will answer.
Okay, no issues, sir.
Yeah, I mean, this is something I need to get into other surgical details.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure, I'll get in touch with ma'am and will.
I mean, she will forward the mail to me. I will answer it.
Okay.
For sure, I will answer.
Thank you, sir.
So the same applies to all of our attendees today. If you have a question that you'd like to direct to us or to any of our panelists, Sudarshan has already shared his information in the chat box. I have too. And for any questions that you would require Partha's input on, please send it to me and I will forward the questions and eventually the answers to you. I think today it's already 5:30. If there are any unanswered questions, like I said, please redirect them to us and we will make sure that they are answered. We are here to help you through your big journey, whether you select us as a big partner or not. For the initial confusing bits of figuring out what this grant is, what its scope is, whether you fit into it, we are there to help. So please reach out to us and we'd be happy to help. This video will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. And so if you want to go back and go over some of the points again or the insights from our panelists today, you can always do that. So with that, I would like to thank our collaborative institutions today. Again, our big associate partner, IIT Madras Bioincubator, our ecosystem partners, the Bombay College of Pharmacy and the Kerala Startup Mission. We thank you and the ones in your network for actively and through the years collaborating with us on such outreach sessions. I thank the two panelists today who very gracefully allowed to be part of this and helped answer some of your queries. Sudarshan, thanks a lot for your time. Partha, as always, thank you for your insights. For all of you attending today, thank you. And we will have a couple more sessions regarding big awareness. The next couple of sessions will deal with your technical presentation, how to make an effective presentation in 8 minutes, and eventually improving the business perspective of your solution. So if you would like, we will invite you to those sessions as well to give you a complete understanding of the process. With that, I close this session to an end. I thank you all for attending today. Thank you.
Thank you, Pratati. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.